Okay, I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer, and I live here in Costa Rica. I'm writing a book called How Not to Move to Costa Rica. And I'm trying to do videos every now and then about life in Costa Rica because moving here is way different than coming here on a vacation. Today, I want to talk about something I never even considered before. Now, the medical care here is excellent, excellent, and it's pretty cheap. And some places will even take your insurance if you have insurance from the state. I'm trying to break this open. Can you feeling it? I had a recent experience where I was hospitalized. Between the hospital, being stabilized at the clinic, and everything else, and I was in the hospital almost a week, I was $7,000 out of pocket. In the States, one ER visit without them intaking you is going to run that at least. So after my ER visit and then going in the hospital for a while, I had a recurrence of the problem. And I went back to my doctor here in Tamarindo. I went to her and said, hey, the medicine from the hospital is all gone. What are we going to do? And she ran a bunch of tests. And then I hit something that I'd never considered before. As you know, in the States, insurance companies don't cover over the counter. So if you run up against a drug, you don't know what it is, and you submit to insurance, there's sometimes they're going to rubber stamp that and say, that is an over the counter expense. That's your expense. Most notoriously, cough syrups and supplements will not be covered here. And that's okay, but I ran into a different problem with it when I went back to talk to the doctor. I ran into this. If you don't know what this is, it is a drug that is forbidden in the US. The forbidden drug. Why? I don't, well, I do know for sure. I was going to say, I don't know for sure, but this is a Mexican super aspirin, they said. And they were giving me that to reduce my fever. The problem with that is that it's banned in the US, it's banned in a lot of countries, except for Central and South America, of course. Not banned here, not banned in Mexico where it's made. Turns out a certain number of people that take that, it kills off all their white blood cells and they die because that becomes a point where they can't even start to fight an infection. So if you're taking this while you have an infection, you stand the risk of developing this. And it's pretty much a death sentence, everything I've read about it. So when I read that, and as you can see, I took two of them before I found that out. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that be very careful when you go to the doctor here and you get some prescription you've never heard of. This time I didn't do what I usually do, which is to Google the hell out of it, because usually I will do that before I'll take anything. And some of it is harmless and weird you've never seen before, like this, which is an Advil Tylenol combination. But most of it is pretty normal, but you're going to get these weird things every now and then that aren't safe. And if you need like oh, I'm trying to think of the name of the drug. It's one of the really low level agents of they used to use it for chemotherapy. They don't use it for that anymore. And I'm just drawing a complete blank. It's a very common drug. Methotrexate. There, I know who had it. So methotrexate is hard to get here. I sometimes take it for my asthma when it's real bad. I have to get that in the States. I have to get my Zopanex there because they don't carry Zopanex here anywhere. They don't carry EpiPens except one pharmacy in San Jose, and it's outrageously expensive, and you have to pay up front. It's expensive in the States even when you have good health insurance, but it's obtainable there. It's not so obtainable here. So you're going to find you don't quite get those things. And the other thing I wanted to say is if you're living here and you're looking for a certain OTC drug, like say Benadryl, the best thing you can do is write down the chemical name of it on a little slip of paper and just show up and hand that to them at the pharmacy. Because if they have the chemical name, they know what the name of the drug will be here. I had to do that with Zyrtec because I don't usually take Zyrtec, but when the asthma's bad, it's sometimes helpful to add Zyrtec in the mix. And I was bringing it back from the States, but I finally figured out, why am I doing that when I could be buying it straight here and not having to worry about all the crap that's in my suitcase? Because that's a reality when you move here too. You can't get everything or the same things everywhere that you could in the States. And I'm living in Tamarindo, which is relatively rural, except for right now when every gringo in the world is here. When the tourist season is dead, there are 7,000 people living in the larger Tamarindo area. 7,000. It's not a lot of people. During tourist season, I would hate to even make an estimate on how many people, how it swells, because it most certainly does. And this year, especially now post COVID, and they've opened everything up, we have more than I've ever seen before. It's so many people have flooded in here from Europe, from America, that it's double the rents here. And the properties that had been here had been on the market here for like 18 months. They all sold like that. I couldn't believe it. One of the ones that we looked at that I loved, but my husband didn't love, was $4,000 on a private finca sitting on like three lots altogether. Finally sold. And I was really shocked at the price they got. It was pretty crazy. So rents have gone up, and buying a property here has become um, unobtainable for anybody who's not a millionaire. So think carefully about where you want to live, because that's in opposition to, say, where we were when my husband was first teaching English here, which was Cope de Dota in the Central Valley, where you can rent a house for $150 or $200 a month. So it's all location, location, location. If you want to be near the beach, you're going to have to pay. There's no way around that, unfortunately. They're not making any more beach property, but that's kind of how it is. And as far as bringing back your drugs and your other things that you must have, I would advise you to invest in a second suitcase, a big one, biggest one you can get. When you fly to the States, you have your big suitcase with your littler suitcase in it, another littler suitcase in it. So you have enough options where if you do want to buy a ton of crap, on the way back, you'll be coming with three suitcases, three of them. And that is what it is. Okay, I'll try to be giving something out, some tips about living here permanently next week.